Hey guys, today we're going to talk about Shuai Jiao. Um, when people think of Chinese martial arts, they generally think of like Jackie Chan and Jet Li doing these like athletic movements that are lightning fast with striking combinations, etc., which look great on movies. But there is yet another amazing Chinese martial art that is much lesser known about, but an extremely and effective um, combat system, as well as a popular sport within parts of China. The martial art we're speaking about is a form of Chinese wrestling called Shuai Jiao. Shuai Jiao literally means fall down and has roots as far back as 6,000 years ago. Although not called Shuai Jiao until recently, the seed which would grow to be the Chinese grappling art was planted. Okay. Um, Shuai Jiao is a form of jacket wrestling, and Shuai Jiao practitioners wear a strong, durable, and heavy woven jacket, canvas belt, pants, and shoes, although bare feet are allowed for beginners, with the goal of to take down, sweep, trip, or throw the opponent. Now, this Chinese wrestling style emphasizes skill, speed, and technique over strength, and this can be seen by the actual throw takedown having more emphasis than the gaining a proper grip prior to the throw or takedown, and by the lack of stalling and attaining grips. Shuai Jiao is fast, there's no doubt about it. Uh, it must be noted there are several different types of Shuai Jiao, as well as a more martial art focused style of Shuai Jiao, as well as styles of Shuai Jiao that are more sport and competition focused. Okay, let's talk about the styles of Shuai Jiao. China is a very large country, and due to the fact of its large size, there have been several noticeable styles of Shuai Jiao that have developed. This is not to say that there are no other styles, but these are the main styles at the dinner table. Um, Now, there's the styles that you wear a something called a da lian, which is a specific style jacket. It's a style named Jili or Hebei, uh, a style that focuses on speed and technique, which literally named fast wrestling, Kuai Jiao. This style is named Wao Ding. Interesting as Shuai Jiao matches are noticeably fast-paced in nature, and one can see that Bao Ding has a heavy influence in modern Shuai Jiao. Kuai Jiao is the most athletic style of Shuai Jiao. Now, another style is called Bokeh. Bok or Bokeh, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but let's say Bokeh. This is a style that's also known as the Mongolian style. This style is influenced by Mongolian cultural wrestling, Boch. There's a different uniform as the wrestlers need to wear a special jacket called a Zhao Gele. I hope I got that right. Basically, a type of vest. Wrestlers cannot grab the legs, and the match is over once a knee touches the ground or an opponent is not standing after executing a successful technique. Now, bokeh is popular in northern China. Makes sense because it's very close to Mongolia, right? Now, originating a practice in the landlocked province of Shaanxi is the Shaanxi style of Shuai Jiao. This style is different in that the competitors do not wear a jacket and the rules allow the grabbing of the legs. It is common to see joint locks applied in Shanxi style wrestling as well. Okay. Now, the most popular style of Shuai Jiao is Beijing Shuai Jiao. Um, and it's interesting as grabbing the legs is not allowed, but sweeps and even kicks. Okay. Um, The use of jackets is mandatory, and there are plenty of upper body throws using grips off the jacket as well as joint locks are permitted. Uh, a very effective style of Shuai Jiao is the Tianjin style of Shuai Jiao. This Tianjin Chinese wrestling style has great foot sweeps and trips, as well as it uses a similar jacket as seen in Mongolian wrestling. Now, what is the scoring system in Shuai Jiao? Okay, now Shuai Jiao has a rather simple point scoring system where a practitioner can force the opponent off their feet to the ground, um, and thus awarded a point. Depending on which style of Shuai Jiao is being practiced, the definition of a downed opponent will be different, as with certain styles, it can be that the knee touching the ground, um, is considered a point, as well as there are styles that award a point only for throws, takedowns, sweeps, and trips that have an opponent land on the ground completely with the aggressor falling on top of the opponent and even standing over top of them. Now, there are some other rules that will award 1 point for the competitor that forces the opponent to touch the mat with an arm, hand, or knee. A competitor can be awarded 2 points in some styles for forcing an opponent to touch the mat with their back, stomach, hip, and any central part of their torso, not the arms or lower leg after the knee. A competitor can be awarded 3 points for any type of aerial throw with a clean landing in some styles of Shuai Jiao, somewhat like a 5 point throw in Greco-Roman wrestling or an ippon in judo. Uh, in certain circumstances, a point can be awarded to a competitor should the opponent be penalized for any type of infraction that the referee deems necessary due to the opponent's breaking the rules. Anytime a competitor performs a successful technique, they'll be awarded a point. The competitor with the most amount of points at the end of the match is a winner. Okay. Now, there are pretty much five different ways to score in Shuai Jiao. Um, and the 5 ways to attack are Da Shuai, open hand techniques to take down, throw, or sweep an opponent. You have Shuai Jiao, standing grappling techniques such as throwing and wrestling. You have Kuai Jiao, fast wrestling and shooting techniques. You have Na Shuai, which is joint manipulation that leads to a throw, sweep, or takedown. You have Dian Shuai, that uses of pressure points to throw, sweep, or take down an opponent. These are the ways that Shuai Jiao wrestlers can score points and attain a victory in a competition. Okay, now although Shuai Jiao has a very long history, here's a short history of Shuai Jiao. Um, although 6,000 years old, with stories of men wearing horned helmets trying to headbutt and wrestle each other to the ground, the real catalyst to what would become Shuai Jiao was an art called Jiao Di, which was a military martial art that had seen combat many times against the enemies of ancient China. Jiao Di was a strong grappling art that emphasizes throws, joint locks, pressure points, and effective striking techniques. Eventually, Jiao Di would become more than a Chinese military combat wrestling system and would also become a sport that many spectators love to watch and for competitors to compete in. Now, many regions of China would have their own techniques, influences, and rule sets that would eventually become what is known as Shuai Jiao, as in 1928, there was a demand to standardize the rules for competition through a national organization. Now, the influence of Shuai Jiao and other grappling styles is quite interesting. Shuai Jiao has influenced many martial arts through the centuries, and even today there are martial arts and martial artists who can claim relation to the Chinese wrestling style. Shuai Jiao and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, for example. There are many historians that claim that Japanese Jiu-Jitsu was influenced by Shuai Jiao, as centuries ago, a man named Chen Wan Yu traveled throughout Japan, and during his travels, he shared many Shuai Jiao techniques with the Japanese martial artist he met during his journey. The techniques presented are said to have a direct influence on the joint locking and throwing techniques of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Um, Shuai Jiao also has an influence on modern combat sports. It's very common to find that the Chinese Olympic wrestlers and MMA and UFC fighters have had, at one time or another, had an extensive Shuai Jiao training, and in some way have been influenced by this Chinese grappling art. One of the most popular combat sports in China is Sanda, which is a combination of striking techniques from Kung Fu and Chinese kickboxing with the throwing, sweeping, and tripping techniques of Shuai Jiao. Many MMA fighters come from a Sanda background and have been successful with this fast Shuai Jiao type of takedowns in competition. Um, now to close, final thoughts. Shuai Jiao is a truly impressive grappling art that has some similarities to other wrestling styles as Sambo, Chidaoba, and Mongolian wrestling, Boch. It has seen military combat throughout the centuries. When China was at war, it is both a combat system and a sport, But what makes Shuai Jiao such an effective grappling system is its extensive foot sweep system and the quickness and simplicity of the techniques it possesses. Shuai Jiao may not be a well-known grappling art in the West, but it is a grappling art that is worth its weight in gold. And I definitely recommend checking it out because it's pretty cool stuff. If you like this episode, hey, subscribe and thank you very much and have a great day from Grapplezilla.